Sir, good evening. Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening.
Yes, sir. I need some help. Uh, I'm stuck. I Friday the Sorry, sir. Sir, 1 minute, please. Sorry. Hello.
Lock the door.
Sir, sorry about that. Sir. Mm, Sir. Sir. Hmm. Sir. Mm, Sir. Mm, mm.
Yes, hello, Mrs. Miller.
Sir, how you doing?
I'm good.
I wish I could say the same for myself, but unfortunately, I'm not. All right, sir. I need your help because I set up the Tumblr account. I'm on setup data stream, but when I put in the www.tumblr blog, because I create a blog name for myself, it is saying invalid website URL is required. I can't move from there. I need some help.
Did you follow the instructions? I'm not sure why you're having that challenge.
I don't
Can I
know.
see? Can you share screen, please? Let me see.
All right, because what happened is that I'm on my tablet. All right,
I
let
have
me
to see
go
what
on.
you're doing. Yeah, it's the only way I can help you.
I could do is that turn on um, 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 let's see if I can find a way to find the other way so that you can see what I'm talking about. Oh, God. I have to go on. Um, 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 um,
Let me see your screen. What you're doing?
Sarah, come in. Sarah, come in.
Okay.
Being recorded.
Sorry.
You have to mute one of them because it's going to echo.
No, man, I leave you. Let me stop sharing until I find it. Outside. All right. Sorry, you seeing my screen?
You're not sharing anything.
Okay. It's just that there's something like a problem. Whatever. Yes. All right. Okay.
Mrs. Miller, no.
Yes, sir.
Adrian, have you sorted out your Tumblr account?
No, sir.
Good afternoon. Yes, sir. I was able to get some assistance, sir. So
I'm
I
having
think
some
I'm
problem.
started out.
So you have yours, so yours is now linked, so yours has been sorted out and you entered the code using Google Tag Manager.
Sir, I was assisted and the person who went through the steps with me and they did the Google Analytics things and I saw them entering some code, etc. So
Okay, good. And that is
Sir,
that is what I
seen-
asked Mrs. Miller to do for
You're
homework.
seeing mine? You seeing my screen?
Your screen is coming up.
Sir, I'm not well. I'm at home, so I can't get any help. I've been.
Can you go back to let me go back to the instructions because because the first instruction, the first instruction is that you're supposed to go to Tumblr and you're supposed to either log in or create an account. Is it that you already
I did that, sir. See there. This is a Tumblr.
Did you rewatch the so is this your account?
Yes, sir.
So what is the challenge you're having?
All right, sir. All right. Is the Google here, because when I follow to the web, when it goes to the web part and I put in here my Tumblr account in there, I can't move from there. The Google analytics.
Okay.
This is where I am kind of lost and I need some.
You're not supposed to take off the HTTPS, etc.
Yes, you're supposed to.
And start with
I'm
the thumb
convinced that
there.
Miss hasn't gone back through the not the www dot, you know.
Oh yeah, see it there. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. All right, sir. I see where I went wrong. Sir, I'm under the weather and my headspace not 100, honestly. I see it now. See it there. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right, stop sharing for me.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for somebody else to join us. You're still sharing.
Yeah, man, I stopped sharing.
Okay. You saw that okay, because there are some terminologies that we have to revisit because the assignment is going to be based on the terminologies. Where is the lecture here? No. Remember, did I email you this lecture? Well, I know we have gone through some of these terms, but you must know the definition of these terms because this is what the assignment, in order to do the Google Analytics or to analyze the data in Google Merchandise Store, you're going to look at users, sessions, average session duration, page views, bounce rate, exit rate, conversion. You're going to look at these other terms. And I did send an example of how the assignment should look. At least the response to the assignment should look. You're going to get that today. But I'm just waiting for somebody else to join us because I can't start with only 2 persons.
So that's simple. Yes, yes. Mhm.
Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to link your Tumblr blog into the Google Analytics. So let's get started. So for that, you have to just copy your URL Tumblr blog and open the Google Analytics. Opening your Google Analytics, just you need to go your admin section and click on the trade property. After that, you have to select where, continue, and write your Tumblr blog name, whatever you want to write. Suppose I wrote this and HTTPS and copy your Tumblr into here and remove the HTTPS and select your interest in whatever you have. And after that, choose your country. I have selected this and just click on the create icon, create button. And now you have successfully created your property. And after that, this is your tracking code and this is the script. So you need to copy this script and paste it into your Tumblr blog HTML part. So due to that, we have to go Tumblr HTML part, edit appearance. Just click on the edit theme.
All right, so I'm seeing 4 persons. Miss Stewart, did you sort out your Tumblr? I know Adrian has.
Sir, it's still not working for me, sir. The instructions are different.
Did you ask for assistance from someone else?
Sir, who I have said they weren't successful either.
Okay. Miss Scott, what about you?
Sir, same as Renee, sir.
Sir, I think one of the things is that how based on the video that you watch, it is not really done like those steps that you see. So probably that's where the hiccup is.
Okay.
I think that is that was one of the challenge for me because I was trying to do it in the phases as whole. That's why I was stuck there. So it doesn't, based on what you're doing, it doesn't come up as how the YouTube video that you send. I guess you have to be.
Did you look at that? Did you look at the lecture as well with the instructions?
Sorry, to be honest with you, I was just only watching the video to try follow from the video. I didn't look at the lecture.
Yeah, but you have to look at the lecture. Remember that is all of the information you're supposed to absorb. I remember that you were supposed to have walked yourself back through some of what we did in the class, which is the latter part of the video. It's actually the latter part of the lecture. Anyhow, we will proceed. Today, I want to remind you about certain terminologies. Give me a sec. All right, so we're going to go through the terminologies. My apologies about that. So let me share my screen. Where is my screen? Because I have so many things open. Are you seeing my screen? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sure, where's slideshow? From current slide. All right, so I was saying to you that these terminologies are what you're going to do for the first assignment, so you need to know what they mean. And I'm just revising because we did do this lecture already. Users, so a user is the number of distinct devices that come to your website within a given time. So remember, the user is not a person, it's the device, because in other words, one person might have two devices and they're on the internet at the same time or on the person's website. So that's why the user is not a person, but they look at the actual devices that are interacting with the browser that comes to your website. Then the session now really is the length of time that somebody stays on your website. All right, so it says a session starts when the user arrives on your website and starts interacting with it. It ends after 30 minutes of inactivity. And I'm sure that you have been on a website, and you're there for a while interacting, and the moment you pause and stop for about half hour, then you see they say that you need to either log back in because the system timed out. Has that ever happened to anybody?
Yes, sir.
Right, so that is what they're talking about in terms of the session. The average session duration is the total time that a person spends on your website. So the question is, does it always make sense to keep the session timeout length at 30 minutes? Or do you think it should be longer or shorter? In other words, the amount of time somebody spends on your website. What do you think, guys? If you have a website, how long would you want a person to stay on your website?
As long as they wish.
No, but you need to know, you need to have a time to see, you need to have a cutoff time to see. Usually there's always the session duration is either like, some people put it at 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. All right, 30 minutes is usually the industry standard, and I always say to people, follow the industry standards. It makes sense to do it at that point in time. The other thing now is page views. When a visitor views a page on your website, so you can have multiple page views per session. In other words, a person can be on your website, and over the 30 minutes for the first session, they are looking at different pages on your website, and you want to know which pages they are going to. And this is where part of the research, because what you're really doing is market research, looking at customer behavior to see where exactly on the website that the customer is going, and probably why the customer is going to those particular websites, how long the customer spends on each website. Is it that the customer got the information that they needed on each page that they viewed on your website? All right. Can we say, what is the difference between page view sessions and users? Do we remember?
Sir, the users are the devices connected and not necessarily the person.
Yes.
The amount of persons connected and the time is how long the person spent.
So this, which one you're defining now? Which term are you defining now? So you mentioned user. Which term are you? So how do we define page views and how do we define session?
Oh, so sir, the session is it the time, sir?
What time?
Spent viewing.
So the average time spent on a website or a page on a website, right?
Yes, sir.
And the page view is what? It's self-explanatory, page view is self-explanatory. What's page view?
Just the mere fact that a person access the website and view it.
So we're to page view, meaning that the page that the person views on your website, or the number of pages the person views on your website. That's why it's called page view. In other words, the page that is viewed on a website.
Okay.
Okay, so that's where you can easily remember. The bounce rate now, a very critical term, very, very critical term, bounce rate versus exit rate. So the bounce rate is when someone comes to your website and only visits one page. A site's bounce rate is a percentage of sessions with only one page view. Measures the stickiness of the website. In other words, if the person comes on your website and only visits one page and spends a least amount of time, then you can count that as a bounce rate. It means that the person is not interacting or not spending a lot of time on your website. And I'm sure you guys have typed into Google, like you type in something and you go on a website and say, oh, this is not what I'm looking for. And you quickly just move on. It means that that person's website would have a high bounce rate, which is not a good thing. The exit rate now is the percentage of visitors that leave the session on that page. Are they spending 30 minutes on your page or are they leaving before? That's very critical as a market researcher. Is a high bounce rate and exit rate always bad? What do you think? Based on the definitions. We are silent. Are we understanding the information or you think it's a little bit technical?
No, sir, not understanding.
Not understanding? Okay.
Yes, sir.
You're not understanding this particular information or everything I've said so far?
No, sir, this information, this one.
Okay, okay. All right, so let's do it another way. Let's do it another way. It's not very difficult. What really the bounce rate is just really that the person, the bounce rate is really what the average time somebody spends on your website. And usually if it's high, that can reflect bad. What this is saying is not always a bad thing because it depends on the nature of the business. All right, let me see if I can find something simpler to explain because you have to understand these concepts to actually do the assignment. I think this might help. Hold on.
Hi, I'm Anna, and I'm a search specialist at Kuzai. I'm here to talk to you about bounce rate.
And hearing?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
What it is, why you need to know about it, and what you can do to improve it. This video is going to be beneficial for anybody involved in the website, including web developers, SEO, PPC, email marketing, copywriting, and conversion rate optimization. So, what is bounce rate? Here are two users, and here is your website. The first user comes along to your site, they didn't like it, they left straight away. The second user visits a page of your site, they have a look at another page. That means they've stuck, they've not bounced from your site. So here we have two users, one bounced, one stuck. This means you've got a 50% bounce rate. What's a normal bounce rate? Well, actually, over 50% is probably a bit high, but anything under 50% is okay. Under 40%, you're doing well. But different pages have different bounce rates. So, a blog page, people might find it via social media, so they'll click a Twitter link, come to the page, they won't be interested in any of your other blog pages necessarily. At that moment in time, they only want to read that post. So, they're likely to have a much higher bounce rate than another page of normal content. Now, one example of this is a product page on an e-commerce site. If somebody does an organic search for it, clicks the result, they see a product. Well, it might not be the right product. They might want to compare to other products. So what they'll do is they'll click. So you get a low bounce rate on product pages of an e-commerce site. So what else can you do with bounce rate statistics? It's good to compare it to the average time on site. If this user here who bounces has spent 5 minutes on the site before leaving, you're doing quite well. Whereas if this user has come to your page and after only 2 seconds, they've gone onto another page, you know that actually, even though you've got a low bounce rate, with the average time on page being very low, it may not be the right page. So, you could adjust your PPC campaign, you could promote a different page organically, you could pick a different link for your email marketing campaign, once you know what your bounce rate is and what the average time on site is, on page, sorry. So, how can you improve your bounce rate? Well, there are several different things. With a product page, it would be good to have a list of related products so that somebody can easily see what other products are available and which other pages they should go to. You can also use a breadcrumb that easily shows the category in which that product was so that somebody can just go up a level in the site and see all the options available. When you've got a blog post, if you want other people to read other pages of your site, it's a good idea to add related blog post links, categories, maybe a link to the writer's Twitter profile. Those sort of things mean that actually your user will interact a bit more with your site. Obviously, if they click a Twitter link, that would take them off the site and your bounce rate would still be high, but actually they're going somewhere beneficial. So sometimes it's good. So hopefully that explains to you what bounce rate is. If you need any more information...
All right, talk to me about bounce rate now. Hello? Is anybody...
Sir, so bounce rate, based on what the female is saying in the video, sir, the bounce rate
the
is...
presenter, stop, don't say those, that comes across very...
Okay, sorry, sir.
You value her or her, she's an academic or so you try not to say that, okay, sir?
Yes, sir, yes, sir. Based on what the presenter is saying, sir,
Mm-hmm.
the bounce rate is basically the frequency of how a person does.
The length of time is the
like
it's
click
more
on
the
and click off, click on and click off, basically.
it's more the duration. Listen, it's more the duration they spend on your page, or really if they view only one page on your website. So it's not really click on, click off, because you can't write that and give me, I'm going to give you 0 for that. You have to say the duration. You have to use the language.
Yes, I'll put it together better, sir.
Okay, but you have the right concept though, right? So in other words, if depending on the name, remember we looked at the different types of website, right? You want, if the person is supposed to come on your website and download a document or sign up a lead form or make a purchase, you don't want the person to come on your website, spend like 2 minutes and then leave. That's not what you want, because it means that you probably don't have enough content on your page to engage the user. All right. So let me get back to some of the definitional terms before, let's go back to share screen. Let me just go back to share my screen. Yes, sir. Share screen. You're seeing my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Conversions, no, remember I said to you that conversion, it says an action completed on a website that is beneficial to the business. That's really what conversion is. So it doesn't mean that conversion, some people think of conversion as just the person making a sale, but that's not necessarily what conversion is. If it is that your website, if your website is a lead website and the person has filled out the form, that's conversion as well. If one of the goals of your campaign is for the person to download white paper or to download the application form and they have done that, then the person has been converted. If your website now is an e-commerce website and the person makes a purchase, then that's conversion. All right, so don't think of conversion. Many times when you think about conversion in marketing or in digital marketing, we think about persons making a purchase. As it says, it's anything that is beneficial to the business. Let's hold off to that because I think other things, other considerations that we need for Google Analytics tracking. How many website users do you have? So you look at these things: visitors, visits, unique visits, geography. In other words, where are they coming from? Where they're coming from? The source. Are they organic? Are they coming directly to your website, or were they referred to by social media or other sites? Where did they go on a site and then come to your site, or is it that they saw an ad and clicked on the ad and they were led there, especially if you're doing like a web banner campaign? Visitors behavior, what do users do on your website? The bounce rate, if the bounce rate is high, why? If it is low, why? The user flow, the goals, what are the goals of your campaign? Is it that the person is actually doing what you want them to do, and things like that? The visitor profile, the geography, male, female, new and returning. And we're going to look at some examples of that in the metrics versus dimensions. All right, so metrics, once you hear metrics, you're really talking about that which can be measured or that which can be quantified. So our numbers, they answer simple quantitative questions such as how many, how long, and how much. Let me ask you a quick question. Metrics. What are the concepts I just gave you? Remind me some of the concepts I just gave you a while ago. I gave you, what are some of the concepts? We said what? Hallelujah, people, you should be talking. Let's go back and see the concepts. What are some of the concepts I gave you? I gave you what? Bounce rate, exit rate. I gave you conversion. I gave you traffic. I gave you traffic source. I gave you visitor behavior. I gave you visitor profile. Can you write down those things for me? I'm going to give you a class activity because I need to ensure that you understand the concepts. So bounce rate, exit rate. Finish writing. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Conversion.
Yes, sir.
Traffic or site traffic. You
Yes,
can say
sir.
site traffic. Traffic source. Visitor behavior. Visitor profile. We have that?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's go back to metrics and dimensions now. So metrics are things that can be quantified or measured numerically. Dimensions now are segments or break up, segment metrics or break up that data to answer more qualitative questions such as who are my users, where do my users come from, and how do my users find me? What I want for you to do for me, I want for you to tell me which one of the terms that I gave you come under the broad heading of metrics and which ones come under the broad heading of dimensions. Where do we put bounce rate? Is bounce rate a metric or a dimension?
Metric.
Where do we put page views? Let's go back. Where do we put page views? Is it a dimension or a metric, people? Talk to me, people.
Dimension, sir.
Page views has to be metric because you're measuring the number of persons who have viewed your page. Can't be dimension. Remember, metric is what you can quantify or measure numerically.
Oh, I was looking at the who are my users part. That question.
Okay, where do we put bounce rate and exit rate, metric or dimension?
So I would say bounce rate is metrics.
Yes, and what about an exit rate?
Is dimension.
Is? I'm not hearing you know. Can you measure the exit rate?
Dimension, sir.
Can you answer my question? Can you measure the exit rate?
No, sir. Yes, yeah.
Of course, if you can measure the bounce rate, why you can't measure the exit? Of course, you can measure the exit rate.
You can put it at a percentage, basically.
Right, so it is?
Metric.
Thank you.
Metric.
Yes, it's metric.
Sir, can I go back on the conversion? Yes, sir, that part. Great.
What are you doing, writing?
Just taking a picture of the conversion part, sir.
Oh, let me go to conversion. Here it is. So conversion, is it metric or dimension?
Sir, dimension.
Students, give me 1 sec. My classmate from Scott. Sorry, guys. That was, I had to take that call. All right, so we looked at conversion and it says an action. So, and I think somebody did correctly say it's metric, right? No, not metric, it's dimension. Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How are you?
Okay, all right. So what is traffic to site, metric or dimension? Hello? Traffic to site, metric or dimension?
Metric, sir.
So it would be some parts, so the visitor would be metric, unique visitors would be metric, but geography would be dimension, right?
Yes, sir.
What about traffic source? Metric or dimension?
Dimension.
Yes, dimension. What about visitor behavior?
Dimension.
So it bounce rate would
parts.
be, right. So bounce rate would be metric. User flow would be dimension. Goals would be dimension and events will be dimension. Profile, visitor profiling, dimension or metric? Hello?
That mixer.
I'm saying for visitor profile, is it?
I'm looking at and say is a mixture.
It's a mixture. So geography would be?
Dimension.
Male, female would be? Would that be metric or dimension?
So metric, sir,
you can count, right? New and returning visitors?
Metric.
Metric, okay. All right, so let's look at some examples now. This is how when we get into the page, how it's going to look. So you're seeing, for example, several things here. And right, so these are metrics. Page views, unique page views, average time on page, entrances, bounce rate, exit, page value. All of these are metrics. Here are the dimensions. On this side, secondary dimension, keyword, landing page, medium, source, and so forth. All right, so here are the dimensions on this side. All right, so let us try to determine which one of these now. Are they metric or are they dimension? So city, metric or dimension?
Dimension, sir.
Dimension. Browser.
Dimension.
Age.
Metric.
Sessions.
Metrics.
Pages / session.
Metric.
Metric.
Social network.
Dimension.
Source.
Dimension.
Time on page.
Metric.
Conversions.
Metric.
Dimension.
Oh, that. Okay.
The conversion or dimension, sir.
Yes. Landing page.
Dimension.
Visitors.
Metric.
Yes.
Metrics.
All right. So can you type for me? Google demo, Google Analytics demo. That's where we're going to. Are you able to do that? I don't think you're able to do that while paying attention. Or hold on. Switching between dimension, adding a secondary, these are just the reporting stuff. All right. Okay. All right. So remember now that I did say to you that there are certain things that you're going to have to know because you're going to report on them for me. And that is going to be the first graded assignment, such as audience, behavior, and acquisition. And I'm going to tell you what these things mean. So audience reports, what are you looking at? Who are your users? So audience reports help you better understand the characteristics of your users. Who are your users? Where are your users from? What languages they speak, if they speak more than one language? What type of technology they are using to access your website? Their age, gender, and sex, and what are they interested in? So the main audience reports, active users, how many users had at least one session in the last 1 day, 7 day, 14 day, or 30 days. And I should soon show you what that means. Location report, sometimes if you are a multinational organization, you want to see where your customers are. Or if you're looking at it in your own country, you want to see where specifically you're getting a lot of traffic. Is it that most of your customers are in Kingston? Are they in Montego Bay or wherever? New versus returning new versus returning visitors. So how often users visit and return to your website, very important. And technology and mobile report, which technology you're using. And this we're talking about which devices are they using, for example, a smartphone, are they using a desktop, are they using a tablet, are they using, what type of web browser are they using? Those things are very critical. And the age and gender is very important, all right? And interest, show your users' preference. So enable demographic data. We're going to have to go into the report. Okay, this is telling us to, but this part now is where you have to do the, all right, let's go to acquisition. We soon look at that. Acquisition helps you to understand where your users come from. In other words, where are you acquiring? Just think about acquisition as acquiring. That's what the term, that's really what it means. Where did you acquire these users from? You're going to compare the different marketing channels. In other words, where are they coming from? Which are they coming primarily from another website? Are they coming from, is it an organic thing? Or is it, for example, they're coming from social media and things like that? Determine which sources provide the highest quality traffic. And then you spend your Google marketing, you spend your digital marketing money there, and helps you make better decisions in terms of focusing your marketing efforts. Medium and traffic source. Source means provide more information about the medium. For example, if the source is organic, the source will be search engine that brought users to your site. In other words, organic in this instance means that they went into Google, typed in Brazilian hair in Jamaica. Where is Brazilian hair is sold in Jamaica? And found your website. All right, that's what organic means. And that's what search engine means. In other words, it means that your website or your company ranks very high on Google search engine because it's very relevant to the searcher or the intent of the searcher. The medium, every source as a medium is the mechanism that brought users to your website. Is it, for example, pay-per-click, cost per click traffic, which means Google advertising? Is it that they search naturally in using Google search engine or any other search engine platform? Is it via email based on your email campaign? Is it, for example, referrals, meaning that they came from another website, or is it none? All right, those things are very critical. How do you identify identify your high traffic sources? So what this is giving you a sense are, so users, you're kind of making you're looking, for example, at the quality of the traffic source. It's very, very important to understand that. And when you get much deeper into digital marketing, you'll understand that when you're looking at Google Analytics, it actually informs you about whether you need to, for example, pause the campaign, if you need to divert money a specific place. Let us say that you realize that most of your users are coming from social media, but you are actually spending on, let us say that you are using Google advertising, you probably pause the campaign on Google advertising and devote more resources to social media. Because that is where you're getting a lot of your traffic. So it informs the kinds of decisions you have to make about the platforms of for your campaigns. Channels report, bundle sources together under the medium. Default channels are organic, source, display, referral, and so forth. Referrals report sites other than search engines that link back to your sites. All right. Let's see what this says. Okay. Okay, so this is now where, let's go to, let me see. All right, let's share screen. All right, are you seeing my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right, talk to me. What are the things you're seeing on my screen? Let's try and make sense of what is on my screen. Tell me what you are seeing on my screen, or what can you make sense of on my screen? Hello?
Sir, over the pie chart section, sir.
Right here? No,
Oh,
here?
right. The pie. Yes, sir.
Yes, talk to me.
Yes, sir. I seen that period February 20 to March 21st, 2021. The new visitor percentage was 84.3
Mm-hmm.
compared to returning visitor 15.7%. So basically during that period, the new visitor far exceeds the returning.
Mm-hmm. And the same is true for the year before.
Okay.
This is January. This is February, March, January, February. Okay, so we're making a comparison. This is, in which year are we? In 2021, right? Oh, I did that day. Why didn't I do a week? I should have, but let it stay still. What else are you seeing? Because technically this is a 4-month comparison. So between,
So it's basically giving you data.
but what kind of data is it giving you? Because that's what you have to present on.
So it's showing you the number of person that visit the site, how long they stay on the site.
Mm-hmm.
It's showing
So,
you the rates, sir, the session duration. Basically, it's just showing you from January how much person you visit the site, and in February it's showing you the different users in each month and what they do.
okay. Okay, let me see here. I was comparing. All right, let's do it for a month and don't compare. All right, so we're just comparing for a month, right? This is just for a month, right? This is for February 20 to March 21. Technically, it's a month, right? Right, people?
Yes, sir.
So we see that there are more new visitors than returning visitors. What about sales? This is from February 21 to March 21. What can we say about sales? Right here. What can we say about sales?
So it fluctuates, it goes up and comes down.
So it fluctuates.
Yes, sir.
All right. What else are we seeing? The bounce rate is 51.62%. Is that good or bad?
Bad,
Oh,
sir.
bad, sir, because it's over 50.
Right? Which means what? What does that mean?
Perhaps you need to find a way to engage the viewers more for them to stay or proceed to related pages.
All right, so you need to engage not viewers, users. Use the language. Notice they say users.
Yes, sir. Sorry, users.
Users, right. All right, so we're seeing those things. Let us look at, all right, so let's go here. Audiences, demographic. No, I don't want demographic. Mobile, overview of devices. All right, so we see, for example, the devices that are being used. So most of the persons during that period came to the website by way of a desktop, right?
Yes, sir.
And this is probably because most persons are home now. So most of them will be going to the website via that medium. Let us do, let's compare. No, let's do a year. Let's do a year. So let's do a year, February 22. Let's see. No, this is not what I'm looking for. Previous year. Let's see. Oh, not that I want. All right, let me do the last 30 days. Let's see what sales was for the last 30 days. All right, so we were looking at the last 30 days and we see a number of things that are up, or we're looking at, no, that's just the device. Let's go back to overview. I think that's where we were. What I want for you to understand though, is just a basic understanding of these terms and making sense of them. We're not going to get very technical with it because it takes a lot of training to understand the data and present on it. The other thing I want to look at, because I'm going to, hold on, our behavior report. Let's look at behavior report. And if I'm losing you, let me know, okay? I actually have some information on this thing. Somehow I think I'm losing you. Behavior report. And remember for behavior report now, we're looking at, it's kind of similar. So we said that we're looking at behavior report shows web pages your users interact with, which pages had the most page views, which pages had the highest average time on page. In other words, which page did they that most users spent longer time on, and which pages had the highest bounce rate. Is it that we need to change that page, delete the page, or edit the page? All right. Landing page. Usually when you're doing a marketing campaign, there's always a landing page that leads people to your website. There's a kind of promo. So if you see an ad somewhere, let me see if I can find an example for you and show you what I'm talking about. Let's go Gleaner, Jamaica Gleaner, because a lot of Google advertising takes place there. Do you see it here? Let's say latest news. Are you seeing my screen?
So you're still seeing the landing page definition.
All right, hold on. Let me show you what I'm talking about. No, not this. Screen share. All right, this is the Gleaner, right? Do you see the different advertisements?
Yes, sir.
So this is Flow, right?
Pepsi.
Right. So if you click on it, I don't really want to click on this because I don't want Flow about me, but anyways, I'll just put them in spam. They're going to take you to, do you see the landing page? This is the landing page.
Okay.
So tax seasons here, are you ready? Finance one-on-one. They want you to interact with their, so save your spot. This landing page is a lead landing page. This is a lead landing because what they're doing, they're collecting your data in order to then get in touch with you or for you to attend some seminar or something of the sort. All right. I know they're going to come. So that's really, so in other words, when they go into their Google Analytics account now, they're going to want to find out from where, they're going to look at the bounce rate because I never spent even a minute on the page. And they're going to want to know from which source did I come from? I came from another website, which is somewhat of a referral. And I clicked on their banner ad. So this is called a banner ad. But as I said, everything cannot be done in this course. I can't teach you a lot of things because the course, there's time restraint and you need a lot of time to practice. I'm wondering if I should even give you the Google Analytics assignment because you guys, are you understanding Google Analytics?
No, sir.
All right, one person said no. Anybody else? Are you understanding it?
Sir, to be honest, since I was able to set it up, I never really go through it much because it was in the afternoon today I was able to get the assistance, sir. So I wouldn't say I don't understand. I don't really interact with it much as it too.
Okay. I'm wondering, yes?
I didn't get to finish with the instructions because the mix up with the Canadian version and the Jamaican version, I stopped at where it was asking for the UAID. So the Google Analytics has a G with the number ID. And when I put in that, it's telling me that the number should be in UA format. And I'm not seeing how to do that.
Okay.
So whenever I guess we're gonna further with that part there.
Okay. No props. What I'll do, I just still want you to understand the basic terms. If I don't do it that way, I know exactly how else I'm going to do it. If we don't go the Tumblr way, there's another way for I can do it. All right. What we can do, what I'll probably do is to give you specific dates on the Google Demo account and then ask you just to interpret the data. Because I've sent you an example. I've actually sent you an example. But let me just think it up, because somewhere along the line, I get the impression that you guys are somewhat struggling with understanding the Google Analytics. So I'm just trying to not make your lives difficult. We can do something instead. What I probably do, if I change the assignment, I would give you I'd make you create a landing page instead. So give you a case study, put you in 2 groups, give you a case study, and you create a landing page. Just as the landing page that we went on a while ago. Do you guys prefer that, or you prefer the Google Analytics assignment? I'm giving you the option. Talk to me, guys. Talk to me.
Sir, can you repeat, please? I didn't hear what you said properly a while ago.
No, I'm saying, remember, I have the other option instead of doing the Google assignment is that the assignment could be that you create a landing page for a specific campaign. So I give you the scenario, put in groups of 2, and you create the landing page. Just as how I showed you a while ago. So let me just share back the screen and share the landing page. This is just an example, of course. There are so many different landing pages. So this is a landing page. There are several landing pages. This is just a random example. But you'd have to create it. And when I say create it, you don't have to personally create it, but I give you the scenario, and anyway, whoever you want to get to create it, you can get them to create it. You can actually use MailChimp and create it. You prefer this, or you want to do or the Google Analytics assignment?
Yeah, which one you think more money?
I think either of the 2 is okay. But I think
on our level, sir. For us, remember we are learning. Which one you think is more money?
For me, it is okay. It's just that the format is different.
Yeah, the format is a little bit different.
Yeah. What? Otherwise, it alright.
Sir, yeah. When I reach the ID section, sir, I cannot explain it fully, but after class, I can possibly get assistance, because you need to do some conversion thing to convert it to some universal. You need to select that option before you, or else you're going to get the G code. If you don't do that conversion thing, you're not going to get the U code. So if persons want, I can get the assistance and communicate.
And you sort it out, and we do the Google Analytics then.
Yes, because the person helped me was struggling a bit right there, but he figured it out. So I can communicate with him and get further instruction if persons want.
Yeah, because I did it in Canada, so the interface is a little bit. I actually called a good friend of mine. He's in Canada too, and he's looking at it and he's like, "This is different, Robin. It's different from what we did."
Right. Yeah.
The interface is a little bit different. But if what's his name? Adrian can get us the assistance. I would really want you guys to learn it, to be honest, and I actually still want you to create the web page as well, because what I'm trying to do, I know you can't learn everything, but I want to give you basic skills that you can use in the workplace. So you can go to your work and say to them, you can ask questions, go to the section and say, who's the person responsible for Google Analytics in the company? And ask them to just send you a report, even if you don't know everything about the report. Ask them, where are we getting our users from? From where are they coming from? Are we doing the campaign in this area? Let us say that you work, anybody works in a for-profit company? A for-profit company, in other words, a company that is for making profit. Or do we all work for the government in one way, shape, or form? I know Miss Adams don't work for any government. Right, Miss Adams? She would be e-commerce. Her website would be e-commerce, and they would want to get that kind of data. Renee, what about your company?
Sir,
I'm
what
a
you say
student.
my company is what?
E-commerce.
You say I don't work for what?
We said, no, you don't work for the government, so your company would be e-commerce.
I work for the government, sir.
Our government you work for? Oh, sorry.
Picker.
It's what? Picker. So who is working at the airline, or is not this class? Am I mixing it up?
I work at the airport. I'm an immigration officer. I work with Picker. Where
You work with Picker.
right.
Okay,
So
that means you are one of them will probably harass me when me I come through.
No, I'm in a customs. A customs harass people.
Okay. I'm just troubling you. So no, everybody in the class work for government. This is sad. We need some for-profit.
Some of us are students, sir. Some of us don't work.
Oh, some of you don't work. Oh, okay. You haven't joined the employment line as yet. Okay, that's okay. But as I said before, though, even if you work, for example, let's just say that you work, for example, in the JCF, you would still want to know where you're getting a lot of traffic from, where these persons coming from. Let us say that the police, they have an initiative where they want persons to feel confident in handing over information to them, right? They would want to know, okay, if we're getting a lot of traffic from social media, then it means that we need to spend a lot of time driving our campaigns on social media, because that is where people are comfortable giving us or handing over information that can help us in terms of, carrying out our duties, solving crime, that kind of thing. So this is why I think Google Analytics, you don't need to know every single thing. And probably what I will do, I'll probably tone it down and just let us do something very simple in terms of the research for the assignment. But I still want you to understand why it is important, because you can't do digital marketing without doing it. All right. So let's go now we're looking at behavior. I'm going to share back my screen. So Adrian is going to get us the assistance that we need. So the landing page now, the page your user begins their visit to your site in terms of, and this is important, which page do they land on first most of the time? My content drill down report, view persons' performance of groups of pages according to your site's directory structure. Very important, especially if they are coming by way of a blog. Exit pages report shows which pages users left your site. All right, very important. So they came on your site, which page, and they're leaving your site on which page. Let us say that you're Amazon. Are they leaving your site on the page that when they pay? Or is it that they're leaving on the page where they haven't completed the funnel, the sales funnel? They have put the stuff in the cart, but they haven't bought anything, which is what sometimes most people do. All right, let's not do that. That's all, folks. All right, hold on. So we have looked at that. This was just a revision, because we need to now look at page, not page. Where is it? It's not page, it's lecture 4. No, that's not what I want. Come on, share. Why this thing is taking so long? Share screen. All right. So review of week 3. And it was important to review week 3 because of the different concepts. All right, so understanding micro-conversions, crucial in supporting the business, but don't directly impact sales. Example, signing up for a newsletter or watching a video. The micro-conversion, no, directly at the bottom line for the business by either contributing to revenue generation or reducing costs. So for example, a micro-conversion for us is when a student actually completes an application form on the website, or they're asking questions. So they complete the application form and now they are interested in the cost for the program. Because it's when it says the bottom line for the business, it doesn't mean that the person must make a purchase. Because if your site is not a purchase site, then that is not going to be a macro conversion for you. It could be that the person is just there to interact with the content. Let's just say that, remember, we look at branded websites. You want the person to be there, for example, listening to the music on the website or downloading the music or buying the music on the website. It depends. All right, this is the part that was a little bit technical. Let me see. This is the part can be a little bit technical. Let me just. Okay. Let us see if we can do this on. Okay. Let us. First of all, let's look and see what are we seeing. We're seeing that we're comparing. This is a comparison tool. Is your best friend, right? In other words, you need to make some comparisons, and this is where you go into the demo account to do the comparison. And you can see, for example, that in terms of this graph, are we seeing? How would you describe the graph? Is it that sales fluctuate? They are slightly increasing, slightly decreasing, or what? What are you seeing?
Sir, fluctuation, sir.
Uh-huh.
For both.
But which period is higher than the other?
That look like January to
Did sales increase or decrease by February? All right. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. Okay, guys, I'm not going to let you do the conversion one. It's a little bit too much. All right, let me see if I can go into, no, let's leave that alone. This was going to be the actual assignment, but no, let's leave that alone. Custom goals, no. The terms I want you to know the meaning of. You definitely need to know the meaning of the terms, creating a destination goal. No, this is going into another dimension of it that I don't want you to. All right. Where is my, give me one sec. Let me just take out my, where's my document? Did I save it here? I think so. No, this is the assignment, which I don't want to. Let's hit save. Because once I hear you guys get very silent, I'm like, where did I save it? Under general? I think I'm getting a little bit too technical with that. General materials. Where's my work plan and course delivery plan? Okay. Okay, let's look at an example. Why is my thing so? Let's look at what is Google Analytics.
Want to pass your certification exams first time? At Exam Labs, we've got you covered. If you have a website but you're not analyzing its performance, or you are, but you're a bit lost amongst all of the different reports in Google Analytics, then let me give you a helping hand.
Where's the video? All right, are you seeing and hearing?
yes, sir.
All right, so what this person is going to do is to help us to show us how we actually interpret information on the website in terms of Google Analytics, okay? Please just take some jottings, all right? I'm going to simplify the assignment, but I still want you to at least attempt. If the class doesn't do very well on the assignment, then I'm going to ask you to redo it, okay? Because we're not here to fail. I want you to really understand.
Hello and welcome to Vitamin BI, bringing you business intelligence for beginners and beyond. My name's Adam, and on this channel I show you that you don't need to be a data scientist or have a huge budget to get started in BI. So if that's something you're interested in learning more about, then don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell to get notified when I upload new videos. Okay, so let's dive into the video. First off, what is Google Analytics? Google Analytics is a web analytics service offered by Google that lets you track and analyze your website's traffic. It's a free-to-use tool that you can install by copying and pasting a few lines of code into your website. Then it starts to record visit and visitor data. What pages are visited, for how long, that kind of thing. There are actually dozens upon dozens of metrics and dimensions available to help you analyze your website's performance. And in the Google Analytics interface, you have lots of handy pre-packaged reports to make the task easier. They're great, but the problem is that each website is unique, which those reports don't necessarily take into account. However, with a little understanding of the most important metrics and dimensions, you'll be able to create your own dashboards and reports focused on your specific website, either inside Google Analytics or outside of it using a different analytics tool that will help you to make sense of your website's traffic.
You might have seen videos like this before, but here's the big secret. Anyone can make one of these videos in a
traffic. Before we jump into talking about the important metrics and dimensions you should be tracking, it's important that you understand the concept of intent. That's to say, visitor intent. Most visitors, when they land on your website, are there for a specific purpose. Whether it's to find out information, to look for a product or service, to sign up for something, schedule an appointment, etc., etc. So whether your website is achieving its goals or not doesn't depend simply on the number of visits it receives. It depends on how well the intent of the visitor is served, whether they manage to do what they came to your site to do. You might think it's difficult to figure out what the visitor's intent was, but it's actually easier than you might think. I'll talk more about how to analyze for intent later on. Okay, let's start by looking at some of the important metrics available for measuring the success of your website. Firstly, on their own as KPIs, and secondly, in conjunction with some relevant dimensions to help you dig deeper into the data. First off, we have visits and visitors that Google calls sessions and users. Good for measuring overall traffic. But what might be more useful are the metrics new users, so the number of users visiting for the first time, and number of sessions per user, which is total sessions divided by total users. This last one is good for measuring whether people tend to visit your site more than once. If you have a blog, for example, this might be a good KPI to measure, because the more sessions per user means the more people come back to read more blog posts. So all of these metrics are great for measuring overall traffic. But what about more detailed metrics for measuring what people do once they land on your site? Well, you could measure bounce rate, which is the rate of single page visits to your site. So the user arrives and bounces straight off again from the same page. You might be thinking that this sounds like quite a good metric to track, and it is, but not in all cases. For example, some websites only have one page, perhaps just one long sales page. The bounce rate here is redundant because there's nowhere else for the user to go. Another situation where bounce rate might not be very useful is when you're driving users to a particular page in order for them to carry out a specific action, say to sign up for a newsletter, and then they're not directed to a different page afterwards. Or perhaps the page you're giving them to doesn't have any links to other pages on it. In these cases, the expected behavior is that the user only visits one page. So bounce rate is always going to be 100% or thereabouts for these pages, which is obviously going to impact the overall website bounce rate. So as you can see, not so straightforward. My advice is to only measure bounce rate for specific pages where it makes sense to do so. Talking about
all right, is the information a little bit clearer now?
Bounce rate, there
some
are
of it
different
in terms of bounce rate and what it means, and the fact that you can have somebody just having a web page and that the bounce rate there would be higher, but it doesn't mean it's a negative thing, because a person might just go there, for example, let us say that it's a plumber and he just creates a web page and he just puts like address and WhatsApp number. Of course, bounce rate is going to be high, as opposed to a kind of e-commerce website where the person has numerous pages and that what you really need to look is to look at the bounce rate on each individual page, because you need to understand the intent of the user. Is it a little bit clearer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's listen a little bit more.
Firstly, you have the basic page views metric, which is the number of times each page is loaded by users. But I tend to prefer unique page views, which only counts a page being loaded once in every session, simply because I think it gives a more accurate picture of how much content on my website is being consumed. Just because the same user loads the same page twice on the same session doesn't necessarily mean that they're spending time consuming the same content twice. I'd prefer to know that the user has consumed the page at all, rather than how many times. Besides, you have the time on page metric to help you understand how long people spend on a page. What I also like to measure is the number of pages per session, also known as page depth. Again, this will only be relevant where your website has several pages, but it can help you see how engaging your website is for users. Another metric for measuring engagement is average time on page. However, this is another one similar to bounce rate in that there's a big caveat. Basically, time on page is measured as the time between when the user lands on the page and then when they load the next page. However, like with single page websites, the user has nowhere else to go, so can't load another page on your website, which means that time on page can't actually be measured at all. That's right, time on page is only calculated for sessions of more than one page view. So do bear this in mind. The same problem actually occurs for session duration, which is calculated as the time between the first and last time that the tracking code is fired for each user. So if the user loads the page they land on and then leaves without doing anything else that triggers the tracking code, the session duration won't be calculated. So again, use with caution. There are more advanced ways that you can better track things like time on page and session duration. It's done by setting up things called events that trigger the tracking code when something specific happens. One I like to use is called scroll depth, that you can set to fire when the user scrolls past specific points on a page. But this is a bit more advanced than the basics we're focusing on in this video. Just know that there are workarounds. Okay, so now that we've explored some of the key metrics that you might want to track, now let's talk about some dimensions you can use to break them down and really get a more accurate picture of website performance.
What would your life be like if you were a rapid transformational therapist?
All right, some of what is being said, I've said it before, but I think he's probably making it a little bit more palatable. So what happened before now, he looked primarily at metrics, and now he's going to look at dimensions. So remember now, metrics are things that can be measured or can be quantified, as opposed to dimension that really speaks to qualitative things.
One of the most important things you'll want to track is where your website visitors are coming from, also known as traffic source. And you also have the medium dimension that tells you whether the visitor arrived via organic search, paid search, referral, email, etc. But if you don't want to get that detailed about the individual sources and mediums, Google kindly provides another dimension called default channel grouping, which gives you handy combinations of different sources and mediums. It's a great place to start, and if you want to dig deeper, you can. You might also want to track where your visitors live, and Google Analytics has lots of geographic dimensions to choose from continent all the way down to longitude and latitude of the user's city based on their IP address. Depending on your business or website, you might not think that where users live is that important, and perhaps it isn't. However, you can use this data to filter out visits from countries that might look suspicious. For example, you might run a store in a specific town, but you're getting way too many visits from a town like Kathmandu, and they're loading every page on your website. In cases like these, there's usually something dodgy going on. So what you can do is filter out users from Kathmandu from your analytics to give you a more accurate picture of your user data. I'll talk more about filtering and segmentation in a minute, but before I do, let's talk about page tracking dimensions, which are some of the most useful. After all, it's pretty important to know what pages users visit and their journey through your website. First up, we have the basic page dimension, which is the full URL that comes after your domain name. But depending on how your website has been set up, you may prefer to use page title, which is the name given to the page. This might be easier to read, but the page title always remains the same, whereas the page URL might contain some useful tracking information, so something to bear in mind. One dimension that, for me, is crucial to track and analyze is called landing page. It's the first page in a session where the user landed on your site. With landing page, it's important to measure bounce rate, especially in cases where you might expect the user to go from that page to another page. You then have the second page dimension that you can use.
So a perfect example of the landing page would be, it says as main page. You'd want to look at the bounce rate there to see if the person spends times there and where do they go from there. Is it that, for example, they're trying to find the online application form? Are they trying to, for example, look at the different, are they looking at the programs page, things like that?
Use in conjunction with landing page, see where people go to, if anywhere, once they land on your site. I talked earlier about intent, and this can give you an idea of what a user's intent is, especially when looking at your home page. If the About page is the second page, they're probably looking for information about your business. If the second page is your contact page, then they're there to contact you, etc. Those are just a couple of examples. Obviously, every website is different, but it gives you some ideas for measuring.
All right, so we're going to pause here. Just a quick overview. What are some of the things that we discussed today? Hello.
Metrics and dimensions.
So we talked about metrics and dimensions. Anything else? And the various examples of each, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So I'm sure you guys have a class, and I have a class too. I have a 7 o'clock class. So I'll see you guys on Wednesday, and on Wednesday I'll tell you when. I'll give you the assignment, and then I'll also give you the due date. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Have a good evening, everybody. And remember, Adrian, to assist everybody with the Tumblr thing.
Yes, sir.
All right. Cool.